There was like a time in the winter that there was like freezing rain, but it was pretty normal. Like the summers were hotter than I wanted, but that was because I was wearing like long sleeves and slacks, you know. So it was pretty typical. Yeah, nothing too extreme. It's pretty diverse, and so you're gonna need both short sleeve, long sleeve shirts and like suits as far as like elders go. But yeah, it's pretty like the packing list that I got like in my mission call was like pretty succinct. Obviously, it said like 8 ties, and I obviously brought more than that. But yeah, I'm just kind of I like more like I like variety, so you know, bring more ties is what I'd say. I got really good at not really good. I got better. No, I got pretty good. I think I got pretty good at like tailoring clothes like on P days because like I said like I don't like it when there's like tons of like extra fabric and stuff, and so like I tailored like a few pairs of pants that I had, just like made them slimmer and like made them fit better, mostly pants, but that was one. And like making ties was really fun, or at least like making like those like big fat ties like skinnier. That was really fun. I like doing that. I learned how to sew by hand a lot better, which took a really long time, but it was lots of fun. I had cow tongue at a restaurant in Preston. That was pretty fun. It didn't really taste very much different than beef, but it was just like weird to like open up the burrito and like, you know, you see like it looks like a sliced up tongue and it's disgusting, but it was pretty good. So that was fun. I encountered fruitcake for the first time in my life on my mission. Yeah, there was that. And then, well, like, this isn't like gross, but just like kind of weird to me. So many times on my mission, like when we went to dinner with a member, like a couple, actually quite a few times, like there'd always be Jello, which is like weird, but it's true. It's like an actual true thing. A couple times, even like the members were like, "All right, we're gonna first, you know, we're gonna start out with the salad, and then like we're gonna, you know, we're gonna do the main course or whatever." And so like the salad was like a plate of Jello, and I was like, "This isn't a salad. What is?" There's just that was like super weird to me to be like, you're calling a plate of Jello salad. It's like maybe Jello salad, but it's not a salad. So that was kind of weird. I think one of the greatest life lessons I learned is to listen to people, especially my companions. I had quite a few companions who, and maybe it was me, I don't know, but it was like really hard to get along with them. And so I learned a lot about charity and about learning that, you know, other people are, you know, going through things that I don't understand, you know, and so that, you know, even with investigators, people we taught, that was something that I really learned, and so that's helped me a lot in my life to understand that there are like the way people react, like there's a reason behind that, you know, and that also helped me like when people like flat out rejected me and like swore in my face, like that helped me to just like, okay, they have no idea who I am, and you know that like them responding in that way means that, you know, they've had negative like very negative experiences like with the church or with missionaries or whatever, you know. And so I just think like listening to people and having empathy for other people, like that was a life lesson that I was taught repeatedly on my mission with very many, like pretty much everybody that I encountered. So that was really helpful. I thankfully was not shot at, but there was just weird people. Like my very first day on my mission, you know how I was saying, like, you know, we got to the mission office, we put down our bags, our mission president talked to us, and we went out to tract. Like we were tracting around, and there was like we're walking, we were like knocking a few doors, and we talked to a few people, and like we're walking down the street, and like we were kind of still walking in this apartment complex, and like this one man had his like door, he was like sitting in his doorway, like the door's open. It was a pretty hot day in the middle of the summer. Like he was sitting in his doorway, and we're like, "Hey, how's it going?" He's like, "Oh, we're doing good. Yeah, I'm just." And we were talking for a little bit. He's like, "Yeah, I'm just waiting for my nephew to come. We're gonna do surgery on my foot." And we're like, "Surgery on your foot? Like what's wrong?" And he like stands up and he like shows us his foot, and there's like this huge, probably like that big, just like this blister or boil or like something. There was like, he was like, "Yeah, I got this," and he told us the story. We got it. I don't remember, but yeah, he's like, "Yeah, so we're just gonna, you know, we're gonna do surgery on it." We're like, "Okay," and then like while we're talking, his nephew shows up with like razor blades blades and like hydrogen peroxide and like cotton swabs and stuff. And we're like, oh, righty. And so then like they like start putting all this stuff on the bed, and they're like, yeah. And then we keep talking to them. We're like, so is there a time maybe we can come back? And like we try to do a return appointment, but yeah, it's just like super weird. And so we like tried to like, as soon as we saw the razor blades, we were like, we're out as soon as possible. And so we just like got out of there. So that was super weird. Yeah, good times. There was one time in Huntsville, we had this name of somebody. I forget what their name is, but we go to this place and it's like pretty far off the beaten path. And it's like right down by like a campground or something. And so we pull up, and there's like a gate around the house. And so we like, just like whatever, we open the gate, we walk through, and like we knock on the door, and we talk to this guy, this pretty big guy, bald, and like he starts talking to us, and we talked to him for like 45 minutes, and he was like, he was a very interesting man. And like we're talking to him, we're like, yeah, we're missionaries, like have you ever heard? He's like, oh yeah, like I read your book a couple times, like a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, like, do you have a copy? He's like, no. So we gave him a copy of the Book of Mormon. Like, we're talking, like, we asked him, like, do you have any religious beliefs? He's like, yeah, like, I read the Bible a lot. I just love, like, kicking back, like, kicking back a few drinks and, like, reading the good word. I'm like, okay, good for you. And, like, we started talking to him for a while. And, like, after a while, he just, like, stops. And he's like, you guys know I'm high, right? I'm like, what? We've just been talking to you. It was like this weird conversation. We're like, okay, well, we'll come back later, sort of thing. Like we leave. And then, so that was just super weird, first off. Like we leave and like, we come back, like when you say we are, and like he wasn't there, but like apparently his dad is like in the driveway, like working on his weed whacker or something, and he has like this big old dog like sitting by him. And so like we walk up and we're like, hey sir, how's it going? He just kind of like, you can tell he doesn't really want to talk to us. And I'm like, hey, is like JJ here? And he's like, no, he's busy right now, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, well, we just like came by last week and talked to him, said we'd be back. And this man was like, okay, great. And he's like, when you came by the first time, did like the dogs ever like give you like any grief? And we're like, or he had like a beware the dog sign. He's like, you saw like the sign, right? I'm like, yeah, like we didn't know you had a dog until today. And he's like, so the dog that didn't give you any grief like the first time you came by? And we're like, no, like we didn't even see the dog. And he's like, well, that's weird, because like last week, a UPS man like didn't, he like walked right in and like my, like to leave a package, and like my dog like almost like ripped his, like tore through his like leg or something like that. We're like, oh, righty. And like that was like crazy just to have that. And like probably maybe he was bluffing or whatever, but still just to think that like, that was, to me, like even if the dog wasn't there, it was just still really cool to be like, we were protected in that moment because we were missionaries and we were servants of God. So that was really pretty crazy. I'll share two. There was one in Huntsville. So we were like driving, we were kind of, we were looking where to go. And then like I was driving and I just had this really weird feeling that we needed to go visit this one guy that we've been trying to look for. And like we visited his house like 3 or 4 times and he was never home. And so we were like, okay, like we need to stop by him. And so we stopped by him, knocked on his door. Once again, he wasn't home. But then as we're like walking back to our car in the parking lot, this kid like yells from like about like a second story balcony. He's like, hey, what's up guys? And we're like, we turn around and we're like, hey, how are you? And like we start talking to this guy like on the second story balcony, and like we're talking to him and we're like, yeah, we're missionaries, like have you ever seen us? Like, yeah, I've seen you guys around. And like we start talking and we're still talking to this guy like on his second story balcony, kind of shouting back and forth. And so we're like, do you like, have you ever read the Book of Mormon? He's like, no, but I've read the Bible. And we're like, oh, cool, that's really cool. And like he didn't have a copy of the Bible, and so we're like, hey, we have one, just come down to our car and we'll give it to you. And so he like comes down and we talked to him a little bit more. And so he's like, he seemed pretty interested, like he was smoking and stuff, but I think it was probably marijuana, so he might have been high, but that's okay. He was still really cool. But and so like we had this really good chat, and like we came back later, and then we had this really, really cool lesson with him. And like he was like super open. He was kind of one of those guys who was like, I want to be spiritual and not religious sort of thing, but like he was still really open to hear about the things that we were teaching. And so yeah, we taught him actually a couple times besides then. So that was really, really neat, just to like follow the Spirit. And like even though we went, we were told to go to this one person's house that we didn't get to talk to, like we were able to get in contact with this other young man that we were able to teach a few times, and then I got transferred before we could teach him again. But yeah, so that was just really, really cool. Just to me, like it taught me like, pay attention to like those little thoughts that you have, because you never know really what's going to happen from them. And so that was really neat. Another experience was at Utah State. We taught this girl. Well, we taught a lot of people, but this one girl was like getting ready for baptism, and so all of her family was like Catholic, and so she came from a very staunch like Catholic family. And so when we were teaching her, like she was still like the whole time we were teaching her, she was kind of like trepidatious about like getting baptized. And so like a week before her baptism, she told us, and it was like really emotional. She was like, yeah, I told my mom that I wanted to get baptized, and when that when I told her that, like she pretty much said, like, if you get baptized, if you become a Mormon, like we are going to disown you, and like you can't, you can't, we're going to disown you, you can't talk to us at all. And so like for her, like that was really hard, because like her family was like super important to her, and so, but as she was telling us, she said, she was like, and she said, even though that happened, like it's a really hard decision, but I still feel like I want to get baptized. And like she went ahead with it, and it was pretty amazing. And it was also really, really cool, because like the week before, like you could tell like so many things were happening so that she would not get baptized. Like her sister wanted her to be a godmother to her new baby, and like her mom called her and like talked to her a few times, kind of about about religion. And I forget what it was, but like just all these things happened that like where she could have just said like this thing happened and I'm not going to get baptized, but she did anyway. And so I think that was pretty amazing, just the amount of faith that she had. And so I think for me the amazing parts of my mission were just those parts where we teach these people, and like they show this incredible faith that they have in Jesus Christ. Like we've only been teaching them for a couple weeks, but they feel so strongly that this is true and this is a good thing that they need to do. And so that was just incredible, just to be a part of that process.